Hello, and welcome to April Astrology with me. April Astrology with me. I don't know if anybody is here. I'm just checking. Is it even working? It's not working on my side. Have I broken something? Can anybody say me? No, it looks like it's fine. It's just a bit delayed, but I'm sure it is absolutely fine. So welcome, everybody. Can you believe we're talking April? Can you believe that I am doing April astrology before April starts? I'm giving myself a round of applause and a pat on the back for that because it's not been good in the last month or so. So friends, I'm going to get straight into the astrology. Just for those of you that want to come back and watch the video at a later stage, just so that you don't have to get through too much babble and too much conversation and too much other stuff. So I am here. I can see the chat. So if you come in and you want to say hi, please do feel free to say so. But let's talk about the astrology. So because we are starting from the 1st of April, I thought what we'd do is just do a quick rundown as to what's happening with the planets come 1st of April before we actually get into, the important transits. So for those of you who are new to the monthly astrology, I'm not looking at everything that's happening every day. I'm just looking at the major transits, the major things that have happened or that are going to happen on certain days. But let's kick the month off by looking at, if you have a look here by my mouse, I'm hoping you can see, we're looking at the 1st of April 2024, which happens to be a Monday. We're looking at lunchtime. I've just chosen lunchtime each day just because it's easy and safe and simple, uncomplicated, all those kind of things. I just want to see who's there. Oh, Tracy's here. Hello, my darling. Tracy Swanepoel. Welcome. Nice to have you join us, my darling. Okay, so we're looking, where's my mouse? Right, wait, you can't see it. There we go. We're looking at the 1st of April 2024. So a couple of things that I first want to note is this over here. So here we have our sun at 12 degrees of Aries, and this little arrow pointing up here is what we call the midheaven. And here we have our sun in a conjunction with the midheaven. So basically this is about making your mark in the world. This is about, you're feeling super confident and feeling super ambitious and feeling like, that you can accomplish almost anything. This is a very fortunate positioning for the sun to be in a conjunction with the midheaven, but it's also a really good time to set goals. So whether you are an Aries or not, it doesn't matter, but this is a really good time because remember, the sun is our identity, it's our personality, it's the way we are seen, it's the way we are, and with our midheaven is our action, our doing. So when we've got our sun, which is the light that we're shedding on the world, in conjunction with our midheaven, it's definitely a time when we are feeling quite strong and quite capable. So if you are setting goals for the remainder of the year or for a particular thing, this is a really good time to be doing that. The next thing that I want to look at, so we're sticking sort of with these main crosshair lines that we have on a natal chart, all right? So we've looked at our midheaven at the top there, which is the highest point of the day. So when the sun is at its highest. And now I want to look at our moon, right? So we're looking at the two luminaries. I've spoken about the sun. And now if we look at the moon is, again, it's not as tight, but that's because I'm looking at the time of day. Earlier on this day, the moon would have been closer to this this line, this axis, if I can call it, and on this end here it's our descendant. This is our ascendant and this is our descendant. So now we have the moon in opposition. You can see here this red line here with the two circles there. This is the moon in opposition to our rising sign. And interestingly, and I know we don't normally, when we're looking at the different planets on a day-to-day basis, we don't usually pay too much attention to the moon because the moon moves so quickly. The moon goes all the way around in 28 days. So the moon moves incredibly quickly. So it doesn't stay anywhere for a very long period. So this is why we don't usually pay it much attention. But considering this is now, I'm going to give us this is giving us the overall kind of energy for stepping into April, I thought it's important to acknowledge it. So today already, tomorrow already, we're going to be feeling this moon in opposition or opposed to our ascendant. And this basically means that your emotions are going to be heightened. Okay, you're going to have this desire to be needed. You're going to want people to acknowledge you, to need you, to, and you're going to be seeking, emotional connections with people. So consider your emotions to be quite needy over the next day or so, while the moon has this opposition to our ascendant. All right. The next one that I want to have a look at is Venus. And here we have Venus over here. Venus is still sitting in Pisces. Venus hasn't switched over to Aries as yet. So we have Venus sitting in Pisces, and look how close it is sitting to Neptune. And this is the thing that we're looking at, all right? So when we have Venus in a tight conjunction like this to Neptune, this means that there's this kind of yearning. There's this yearning for romance, all right? Within obviously your personal relationships. There's this need. And remember, we've got our moon opposed to our ascendant. So we're feeling emotionally charged already. And now we've got Venus right there conjunct Neptune. So it means that we may be expecting or looking for or wanting or needing emotions, relations, intimacy that is a little bit unusual. It may mean that we may be feeling a little bit disillusioned, like what we're looking for, hoping for, and what we get may be slightly disconnected from each other. So it's important to just make sure that we're not allowing our moon in opposition with our ascendant to create this false realities, okay, with our expectations with regards to love, because we want to be loved, we want to be needed, we want to be, taken care of right now, but we need to make sure that our expectations and our reality line up and that they're not missing each other completely. Okay, the next one I want to have a look at is this conjunction over here. So, okay, it helps if I put my mouse in the right place. Right, so we have Jupiter, which is at 17 degrees of Taurus, and it has a conjunction with Uranus at 20. So this is still happening, right? Jupiter's still going to get a bit closer. It's still an applying conjunction, but it's definitely a conjunction anyway. So looking at this, remember, Jupiter is the planet of expansion. So Jupiter makes things bigger. Jupiter adds to. And Uranus is... Uranus is an interesting one because Uranus is a little bit different, a little bit quirky, a little bit strange, a little bit unusual, all of that kind of thing. And Uranus is also what I like to refer to as the rebel. It like says, I'm not going to stick to the rules. I want to do things my way. So basically what this is saying is that over the next couple of days, you're going to be full of ideas. You're going to be wanting to break the rules, to break the restrictions and the limitations, break free from anything and everything that's holding you back, that's trapping you, that's keeping you limited and restricted. So that's quite an interesting one as well that we're feeling as we step into April. Okay, the other thing that I want to look at, right? So we've looked at our sun that has a conjunction with our midheaven, but let's have a look. Our sun is at 12 degrees of Aries, and at 16 degrees Aries, we have a north node. So they're also becoming besties, and this is where our eclipse is coming from. Okay, so if you don't already know, we've got an eclipse, a solar eclipse coming up, and we know that when the north node and the sun are besties like this is what triggers a solar eclipse. We need the moon to go all the way around and get here, and when the moon is opposite or together, that's where the solar eclipse is going to take place. So we're going to see that in a couple of days. Actually, it's when the moon gets up there. When it's across there, it's a full moon. This is a new moon. Okay, so we're looking at our sun, and we're looking at the sun in a conjunction with our north node. So this is a time for you to sort of leave behind anything from the past that has been holding you back. Any limits, any restrictions. You might feel as if, everybody's demanding your attention right now. You might find that, it's hard to express yourself because you feel like you're being pulled in so many different directions. And it's just like a case of wanting to shake everything off. Like sometimes we just want to scream and push everybody away and chase everybody away so that we can just find our space again. So this north node conjunct your sun is basically saying that you feel as if the walls are closing in, and this feeling of wanting to break free, wanting to disconnect and separate yourself from all the drama that's going on around you. All right. So that's quite interesting. We're going to obviously talk about it more when we get to the eclipse coming up in a couple of days. Right, so the next thing that I want to look at is Mercury, and here we have Mercury sitting at 27 degrees of Aries. All right, I do want you to note that Mercury is S. S stands for stationed, which means it has stopped moving. So stationed is when, if you think about a train that comes into the station, when it's at the station, the train has stopped, and then when it leaves the station, it has started to move again. So I'm going to cover that in a sec. But what I want to look at is Mercury that is currently stationed and is currently standing still. It's not making any progress. It's not moving forward. It's not moving backward. It's not moving at all. But it has a square, and there it is here, this line over there. It has a square to Pluto, which is still sitting in Aquarius. So Pluto, we know, is going to be in Aquarius for quite some time. But we now have Mercury that is standing still, square to Pluto. This is telling you to mind your words. Okay, so we've already said how we've got our North Node conjunct with our Sun, which is creating this kind of feeling of like wanting to break free. We've already said we've got our Moon that is opposite our Ascendant, which means that our emotions are all over the place. And we've said that Venus is conjunct with Neptune, which is creating this illusion around what we want and what we actually have. So there's a couple of things that are happening, which means that we could actually speak before thinking. And the fact that we have the square between Neptune and Mercury is definitely something that we need to take cognizance of, especially considering Mercury is stationed, which means Mercury is standing still. So we need to make sure that you are not speaking before you think, because otherwise you're going to get yourself into trouble. All right. So that is all the events of the 1st of April that are significant, that we need to be mindful of. All of the other thingies that we see in here, they're not important enough for us to mention or to bring about. So I now want to talk about Mercury being stationed, okay? So as I've already explained, Mercury is standing still. Now, generally what happens, it's not that Mercury has actually stopped, because none of the planets ever stop in their orbit, all right? But what it is, and I think I've explained this to you before, if you have the Sun over here, and we've got our planets that are orbiting the Sun, it's almost like now it's coming towards you, and as it's going there, there's a moment where it seems like there's no movement, and then it seems like it's going backwards, and then it pauses, and then it's forward, and then it pauses, and it's that motion that's stationed of as it's about to turn the corner and go back. It looks like, from our point of view, it looks like it's standing still, but it's not. Typically, what does it mean when Mercury stands still? Well, it means communications and technologies generally gets to stand still too. Everything becomes harder. Everything becomes more difficult. Everything becomes stuck. All right? Everything comes to a timeout, standstill. Everything is stuck. So you're going to find your ability to communicate gets a little bit difficult. You're going to find yourself tripping over your words and having all these ideas in your head, but just not able to express them, not able to get them out. So if you are needing to have an important conversation with anybody, this is not the time to be doing it, unless you've got it all written down and you're basically going point form through it all. Because if you're just trusting your ability to communicate, you may actually get yourself into a little bit of trouble. All right. So I am finished on the 1st of April. Let's jump over to the 2nd of April, right? You can see at the top there, you can see over there that we are now on the 2nd of April. Nothing much has changed. Mercury is still stationed, right? Mercury is still in a square aspect to Pluto. The Sun is still conjunct the midheaven. The Moon is no longer in opposition with our Ascendant. We still have this conjunction over here. We still have this conjunction over here, which means that all of those energies are still in effect. Okay, so there's nothing really significant to mention on the 2nd of April. So I'm going to jump straight across to the 3rd of April. All right, so we can see that the Moon has now moved, and the Moon is now conjunct Pluto. But as I said earlier, we don't really pay attention to the Moon because it moves so quickly. But I just mentioned it on the 1st of April because it's the energy as we come into the new month. Nothing else has really shifted. Nothing else has really changed, except that Mercury is now retrograde. So Mercury has finished its station and it now seems to be moving away from us, moving backwards. All right. So Mercury is in Aries, and you all know that Aries is a fire sign. Aries is cardinal. Aries is I'm there, I'm making a noise, I'm doing my things. I'm fiery, I'm hot, I'm passionate, I'm enthusiastic, I'm a go-getter, all of that kind of stuff. All right, so when Mercury is in retrograde in Aries, all right, and I've written out some stuff. So just to read to you the stuff while you look at Mercury in retrograde in Aries over there. So right now, everything is looking a little bit chaos, right? Everything is looking a little bit like, So Aries season has us all feeling wired and ready for action. And at this point, we must understand that we have got our midheaven, we have got the sun, we've got the north node, and we've got Mercury all in Aries. All right. So that's a lot of fire energy. So Aries season has got us all feeling wired and ready for action. The recent eclipse, we've just had a lunar eclipse a couple of weeks ago. So the lunar eclipse has left everyone's life a little bit upside down. And now we have Mercury retrograde throwing a wobbly in the mix as well. So this particular Mercury retrograde is going to take place from, and the textbooks are saying April 1st when Mercury stationed, and it goes all the way through to the 25th when Mercury stations again. So basically between now and then, Mercury stops and then starts going back, and then it'll come forward again. So we're basically looking at 3 weeks of Mercury hell. Okay, so as we know, Aries is cardinal. So this means that all the other cardinal signs, so if you are Aries, Cancer, Libra, or Capricorn, because those are all our fire signs, all our cardinal fire signs. No, I'm lying to you. They're not cardinal fire. I do apologize. They are only cardinal. Let me get the words right, right? Aries, Cancer, Libra, and Capricorn are all cardinal elements. So basically, they're everybody who are going to be feeling the effects of this particular Mercury retrograde more than anybody else. Leo and Sagittarius, which are our other fire signs, okay? Leo and Sagittarius, who are other fire signs, it's going to be easier for them, all right? They're not going to be as impacted. And everybody else will sort of just blend in. It shouldn't be too bad for the rest of you. So as we know, Mercury retrograde is a time where technology can and often does go completely wonky. Cars can act funky. Important messages generally tend to get lost. Excuse me. Generally, messages get lost. It can also be a frustrating time while Mercury is retracing its steps in the sky. So you're also going to be going backwards, right? So it's not just about technology and communications, because generally speaking, we as people in our communications, in our expressions, we all generally tend to go backwards. So it's like we're going back to people we've spoken to before. It's about going back to old jobs. It's about going back to projects from the past. All of these things that sort of come around and bite us again. So this is also, Mercury retrograde is a time to figure out whether you want to reintroduce all of these things from your past back into your life now, or to find a way of actually closing that door completely and leaving it closed forever. So when Mercury retrograde is in Aries, so we know that Mercury is a fiery, creative, and loud, which it's great for being a leader. It's coming up with new ideas. It's initiating new projects. You know, Mercury is starting important conversations. It's doing all of those things. But retrograde and in Aries means that all of that energy can be very easily misdirected. So we have to be careful. So instead of fiery and fun, you may come off as a little bit aggressive. So instead of being loud and extroverted, you may come off as extra, over the top, and just downright annoying. And nobody wants that. All right. Mercury retrograde in Aries also makes you love to talk, but hate to listen. So we don't use our ears. We use this before we use these. And that, again, could be a challenge. So for the next few weeks while Mercury is in retrograde, it is important that we all be mindful with what we're saying and try our best to be patient. Not easy in Aries. Patience is not something that Aries are known for. All right. If you have a situation of people and projects and situations from your past that come flooding back into your life, take this Mercury retrograde as an opportunity to take stock of who you are, where you are, what you are, why you are. Okay. Figure out what needs to stay, what needs to go, what needs to come back into your life. You know, you are actually in control here. You get to make these decisions as to what works for you. This is not a time to start any new relationship. This is not a time to be signing contracts. This is not a time to be making any big decisions. This is, however, a time to clear out your life so that you can make those decisions in the future. All right. So, friends, that is Mercury retrograde, which officially started on the 1st of April with Mercury stationing, but the actual backward motion has really only started now on the 3rd of April. All right. And remember, 3 weeks. Okay, everything else is much of the muchness, much the same. So let's jump forward. 4th of April, again, nothing much changes. We can see our moon is getting closer and closer to the sun, which is when the solar eclipse is happening. I do want you to note that our north node and our sun are conjunct at 15 degrees. So just important to watch that. So there's nothing really happening here. I want you to keep a watch, though, on Venus. If I go backwards, so here we can see Venus was at 27 degrees of Pisces, and it was at 27 degrees 50 minutes. So it was on the right-hand side of Neptune. But when I go to the 4th of April, you can see it's now at 29 degrees. It's jumped over. It's overtaken. It's stepping ahead. 29 degrees of Pisces means that it is almost ready to jump into Aries. It's going to join the Aries party, and it does so on the 5th of April. So on the 5th of April here, we have Venus that has now left the dreamy, tranquil, happy, go lucky aspect of Pisces, and it's now jumped into fiery, passionate, enthusiastic Aries. So now we've got 4 planets, 4 thingy-mabobbies that are sitting in Aries. So Venus going into Aries means that we are more than ready to get our flirt on, all right? So everybody's feeling hot and hungry, and because we've entered passionate and enthusiastic Aries. So this is a great time to, you know, just to be more bold, to be more confident in your love, in your emotions, in your connections with other people. So everybody's going to be feeling a little bit enthusiastic, right? Wink, wink. Okay, so everybody else is still much the same. We've still got that conjunction there. The square has between Mercury and Neptune, Pluto, sorry, has gone. It's not there anymore. We still have the sun and the north node at 15, 16 degrees. Our moon is coming closer, and everybody else is still very much in the same place. So let's jump to the 6th of April. Okay, now if you look on my thing here, you can see my line has done some strange things. It's just because that 9th house now has so many planets in it. So just to fit it, it sort of, you know, cuts out a little bit of space there. I want you to also notice here that even though this conjunction is separating a little bit, we've gone from 15-15 to 15-17. It's okay. They're still close enough for the full solar eclipse, which is taking place. So what do I want to look at here? I want to look at okay. So Venus, which is now fresh and new into Aries, giving us enthusiasm, giving us creativity, giving us passion in our love, but it has a sextile, this blue line over here, to Pluto, which is something that we need to be aware of. So Pluto is generally, Pluto is generally not a positive, but in this particular case, sextile creates a positive between the two of them because the sextile is helpful. Sextile is I help you, you help me. So instead of pulling each other down, we support each other and raise each other up. So Venus, which is sitting in Aries over there, which is a sextile to Pluto in Aquarius, this brings a lot of good vibes as we are ready to manifest good stuff with regards to connections, beauty, love, admiration, and all of those kind of things. So really is a good time, to celebrate, to have fun, to look good, to feel good, all of those kind of things. And that's the 6th of April. All right. So now I am watching the moon, and I'm watching the sun, and I'm watching the north node. Let's jump to the 7th. So we have our moon, which is still in Pisces, but look here, it's at 29 degrees Pisces. And we have our sun and north node at 15, 18 degrees. So that's now the 7th of April. When we go to the 8th of April, 14, 15, 19, can you see? All in Aries and all jammed. And that is what creates the full solar eclipse, okay? And obviously, if I change this to hours, it's changing things, but never mind. Okay, I'm trying to get my moon. Just bear with me a second. I'm watching the moon and the sun. Right, look here. Let me see if I go one more. Oh, one more again. Doom, doom, doom. And again. And again, I'm trying to get the exact. There we go. That is as close as we are going to get it. 8th of April at about 8 p.m. for us here in South Africa is when this this new moon solar eclipse, full solar eclipse, is going to happen. Okay, so that'll be for us. I'm just going to put it back to my 12 o'clock just so that we're looking at everything in a normal way. So yeah, this is definitely when the solar eclipse is going to take place. So let's talk about the solar eclipse for a minute. So first of all, we have to ask the question, what is a solar eclipse? So a solar eclipse is a powerful celestial event where the moon passes between the Earth and the sun. So if we've got the sun here, we've got the Earth over there, and then the moon's coming through in the middle here. All right. And what it does is it obscures the sun's light. So it blocks the sun's light. And this holds significant symbolic and astrological meaning, especially in the context of change. So what can we expect? In astrology, a solar eclipse is often viewed as a potent time for new beginnings, right? It is seen as a doorway to significant life changes, offering opportunities to reset, to rethink, and to start afresh. The blocking of the sun, which is a symbol of light and clarity, because the sun is our luminary, our main luminary. So because we are blocking the light of our main luminary, it invites us to all go inward, to become a little bit more introspective, and encourages us to look at ourselves, to reassess our paths, and to make any substantial changes that have been, weighing on us, or that we've been considering for quite some time. Solar eclipses basically bring about or catalyze, I know that's a horrible word, such a big word. Solar eclipses catalyze or bring about rapid and sometimes unexpected major transformations in our lives. So this can manifest in various aspects, such as your career, relationships, personal growth, or even your own personal spiritual development. The energy of a solar eclipse is believed to accelerate events, bringing to the surface issues that have been simmering and demanding attention that you have possibly been ignoring for the longest time. Okay, so considering we are blocking the sun, okay, that the moon is blocking the sun. So the temporary disruption which is caused by the eclipse, by obscuring the sun's light, symbolizes a break from routine or the status quo. This interruption can be unsettling, but is often viewed as necessary for growth. It is a period where hidden truths or previously unnoticed paths can become clear, enabling significant personal and collective evolution. All right. So a solar eclipse is considered a powerful time for setting new intentions and manifesting goals. Remember, it's a new moon, but it's just a new moon on steroids. So just a new moon on steroids, okay? So the energy of an eclipse can amplify your thoughts and your intentions, making it an ideal time to focus on what it is that you absolutely, truly desire. So the key is to focus on, obviously, positive changes only, and positive changes that you wish to see in your life. Doesn't matter what area of your life that we are referring to. So that is just information about a solar eclipse in a general sense. But now let's look at this particular solar effect, which is happening in the planet, in the sign of Aries. So a passionate solar eclipse in Aries is just the energy boost that we all need to change our lives for the better. So shakeups that happen in your life now will lead to personal breakthroughs and intense healing as we move on from one phase to another. So friends, brace yourself for a epiphany, because that's exactly what's going to happen. You are going to have this epiphany. You are going to have this situation of change. You're going to have this moment of clarity as to who you are, what you are, and what you're all about. So the more that you follow your heart and ensure that your feelings are true, the greater good that you will perform for yourself, and obviously then for those around you as well. So I know there's a lot of people who are very scared and very afraid of a solar eclipse, of any eclipse. That they seem to have quite a bad reputation, where people expect bad things to happen and expect the worst. And yes, sometimes it does, but ultimately it is for the good. Ultimately, it is for the better. But, sometimes we need a shake-up to happen in our lives to give us the opportunity to let go of whatever isn't actually working for us anymore. Right, so before we move on, I'm going to have some water. So don't be afraid of the solar eclipse. Like, use it to your advantage. Use it to bring about positive change. Use it to bring about, exciting things that need to take place in your life. Right, we're moving on from the 8th of April, and we are looking at, oh wait, sorry, my bad, I'm still on hours. I need to put it on today's. There we go. Right. So you can see our moon has moved on. It's now 29 degrees. Our sun is at 20. So, that's how quickly the moon moves. So on the 9th of April, there's nothing much that's happening. Everybody's still in the same kind of positions. Everybody's still in the same place. There isn't too much that's taking place. We move on to the 10th. And what I'm looking at here is Mars, which is here, that now has a tight conjunction with Saturn. If I go back to the previous day, you can see Mars was at 13 degrees and Saturn was at 14. And on the 10th, they are almost like smack bang on top of each other. So Mars, which is, action and doing and fiery and passionate and enthusiastic, and Saturn that goes, oh boy, okay. So this is going to give us an extra dose of courage as we go after, what it is that we actually want in life. So the advice that I have for you here on the 10th of April is to basically have faith in yourself. Okay, believe in yourself. Don't allow any limits or restrictions, because we're sitting on top of Saturn, so Saturn's not restricting us. Mars has come along and it's sitting directly on top of Saturn, so it's not restricting us anymore. Okay, you must understand that if you have faith in yourself, you could actually become a lot more powerful than you realize. And you've got to, like, on this particular day, on the 10th of April, you need to ask yourself, Wednesday, the 10th of April, you need to ask yourself, what would you do if you knew that you couldn't fail? Like, if you knew that you could not fail on this day, like if there was something that you wanted to do and you know that you just wouldn't fail, like what would that thing be? What would that be that you would do on this day? And go for it. Like, actually step out of your comfort zone and go for it. Do it. Make it happen, because I actually think it'll be pretty fabulous. Okay? Pretty darn freaking fabulous. Right. Before we shift from the 10th of April onwards, I want you to look at the Sun and Mercury here. So our Sun is now at 21 degrees of Aries, and Mercury is sitting at 23 degrees Aries. So they're getting closer and closer and closer together. So if I jump over to the 11th, look what happens. Boom, boom. They are kadang on top of each other. All right. So when, like, I've just spoken about Mars and Saturn, and if we look at Mars and Saturn over here, you can see now that Mars has overtaken Saturn. It's like, okay, cheers, buddy, I'm moving on and heading on. when two planets are like right on top of each other, they generally tend to help each other and work out. So they don't limit or restrict, they actually help and ease, except when the sun is involved. Okay, so I know earlier on we were talking about the sun and the moon. When they were conjunct, when they were on top of each other, the moon was blocking the sun's rays, which is a negative thing. And the north node doesn't count because it's not actually a planet, it's not actually a thing in the sky. But when you have another planet that is this close and touching the sun, it gets hot. If you imagine going to the sun and touching it, you're going to burn. Okay, like the sun is the hottest, it is the brightest, it is the biggest, it is the okay, it is the thing. So anything that gets too close to the sun is going to get burned. So here we have Mercury. Remember now, Mercury is still in retrograde. So basically, the sun has been here, and Mercury has been coming closer and closer and closer. Boom. And then when it gets too close to the sun's going to sting it. So Mercury is considered combust. Okay, this when we have a planet this close to the sun, it is considered combust. All right, as it is too close to the sun. This is often seen as a weakening or a debilitation of Mercury's influence. So the retrograde. So never mind Mercury on its own. Okay, Mercury's retrograde is going to be debilitated. All right, so this is a lessening of its influence. So the intense heat and the light of the sun is going to completely and utterly overpower Mercury, diminishing its ability to express itself in its full way. So we may all feel mentally foggy on this day because remember, Mercury is our thinking, it's our strategy, it's our mind. So, you know, and now you've got the sun that's burning too hot on that. Mercury can't operate. Mercury's going to be a hot, sweaty mess. Okay. We're going to have difficulty expressing ourselves clearly. We're gonna be completely and utterly misunderstood. Our interactions are going to go wrong. It's going to be a hot mess. It's going to be a hot mess. So if you're the kind of person who struggles with Mercury retrograde, like understand that Mercury retrograde and being combust with the sun, it's a recipe for disaster. Recipe for disaster. So considering that Mercury is in retrograde, it's almost like a double whammy. One thing that's important to remember at this time is that compromise is key. Okay, so this is a great day to take a lead on a project, but it also brings big ideas, passionate speeches, and all of that. But it's as long as we remember this whole thing of compromise. If you become too hot-headed, it's going to affect you negatively in the long run. All right. So we are done. Everybody else, you know, obviously Pluto's not moving. Saturn is a slow mover. Mars is moving quite quickly. You know, Neptune not very quick. We've got all of these four that are happening here in Aries. We've got a little bit of change here. Our moon is just doing its thing. Let's have a look what we get on the 12th of April. Yeah, the moon is moving, but we're not really paying attention to the moon. Everybody else is the same. Nothing else major is changing here. So there's nothing to talk about on the 12th. There's nothing to talk about on the 13th, except that we do have Jupiter, you know, starting to get a bit closer. They're still almost a whole sign apart, 30 degrees apart, but there is some progress. Mercury is going further and further away from the sun because it is in retrograde. Venus is moving along quite nicely, but there's nothing significant on the 13th of April that we need to be aware of. On the 14th of April, still nothing significant to be mindful of. 15th of April, still nothing to be mindful of, nothing to be aware of. What I do want you to start watching, oh, I haven't put my phone on to shush. Sorry, give me a second. What I do want you to start watching, okay, so here we're on the 15th of April. You can see it over there. You can see it over there. I want you to start watching Mercury in retrograde. Remember, Mercury is going backwards. I want you to also watch Venus. So currently Mercury at 19 degrees. Venus is at 12 degrees because they're going to get closer and closer and closer. So they're like this at the moment, and they're going to come closer. Let's watch that happen. 16th, we've got 19 degrees and 13 degrees. Nothing else significant to be aware of. We're on the 17th. We're at 18 degrees and 15 degrees. We're definitely getting closer. right? On the 18th, I'm just looking to see, on the 18th, we're now at 18 degrees and 16 degrees. So Mercury still in reverse, still in retrograde, and Venus are coming up close to each other. And then if we go on to the 19th, bam, there they are, conjunct. Okay, they're touching, they're besties, they're living their best life, they're helping each other, supporting each other. And this particular conjunction is actually quite an interesting one because remember, Mercury, communication, expression, technology, Venus, love, feelings, connections, right? So our words are going to take on a new heat as it is easy to give passionate, enthusiastic, and beautiful words. It's easy to express love for another person. It's going to be easy to write poetry. It's going to be easy to do any of those kind of things. And also to be the life of the party. Okay, that's what the 19th of April is all about. However, though, you still need to mind the words that you are speaking because things that you say in the heat of the moment could come back to bite you. All right, but interesting that they're quite far from the sun, so the sun's effect is not there anymore. But these two are definitely to be aware of on the 19th. The other thing I want to have a look at is Mars, right? So here we have Mars all the way over here. Mars is sitting at 21 degrees of Pisces, and Mars has a sextile, this blue line over here, to Uranus that is sitting. How do we know? 21 degrees, 21 degrees. 21 degrees of Jupiter, 21 degrees of Mars. And this is a double sextile between Mars and these two planets over there. So let's take them one by one just to try and understand the situation. All right. So I am looking at Mars and Uranus. So the blue one here, Uranus, the red one here, Mars. And the sextile, remember I have explained to you before that a sextile is a helpful, a friendly, a positive connection between two planets. So when Mars and Uranus are sextile with each other, this is a great day for pleasure. Excuse me, a pleasure in all shapes and sizes. So it's almost like you're willing to take a gamble, you're willing to take a chance, and it'll pay off for you. All right. Take risks. Now, considering we also have this conjunction, just to remind you, between Venus and Mercury, and now we have this positive sextile between Mars and Uranus. Like, you know what? This is the day to take a chance. Those of you who are single and who fancy somebody, this is a good day to let them know. For those of you who want to spice up your own personal relationships or have an interesting conversation with a boss or something like that, this is a really, really good day to do those kind of things. Let's look at now the sextile between Mars and Jupiter. So Jupiter, remember, is the planet of expansion. It's the planet of making more, making bigger. So here when we have okay, I have made my notes incorrectly and I'm trying to read to see which ones is which. So we're looking at Jupiter. Oh, that's why I'm looking at the conjunction here. My bad. Right. I'm not looking at Mars. That's why I'm getting confused, because I'm looking at this particular conjunction here. Now, if I go back a couple of days, all right, can you see here on the 17th, we're at 20 and 21 degrees. And as we get here, yes, they are conjunct. We're at 12 minutes and 40 minutes. But here on the 19th, we're even closer. So this, the really, really tight conjunction between Uranus and Jupiter is what I wanted to focus on, okay? Because this is something that doesn't happen very often, right? This is a conjunction that only happens basically every 12 years or so, that Jupiter and Uranus actually get to know each other, get to spend some time together, get to hang out in the same situation. So this is also a burst of adventure, a burst of excitement. This is, you know, bold things that can happen, things that you can do that you've never had the courage and the confidence to do before. Considering we've got the sextile with Mars, it's adding to the positive. It's adding to the excitement, to the drive, to the ambition. So like if you've ever wanted to go bungee jumping, jump out of an airplane, like if there's ever anything everything that you wanted to do, adrenaline focused, and you've always been a little bit scared, this is the day where it'll be a walk in the park for you. So this is the day to really tackle those big things that are going to make you happy, make you excited, considering we also have this tight conjunction again between Mercury and Venus. Even though Mercury is in retrograde, this is a positive thing for us because it's bringing this good vibe and good energy into our space. All right. So 19th of April, really good day for a lot of good things. All right. Before we shift on to the next day, I want to look at all the degrees that we have. And the first thing that I notice here is our sun. Our sun is at 29 degrees, 50 minutes of Aries. What does that mean? It means it is a minute away from jumping into Taurus. So if we go onto the 20th of April, look what's happened. We have left Aries season and we have entered Taurus. Okay. So the sun enters Taurus. Now, remembering as well that our dear friend Mercury is still in retrograde. Okay. And it was retrograde in Aries, which was adding to that fire, adding to that enthusiasm. Now, when the sun goes into Taurus, it's almost like we can sit back, we can exhale, we can offload, we can let go a little bit, which is really, really good. All right. So Mercury that is still in retrograde, we get an opportunity to get grounded, to enjoy the pleasures of life as the sun enters patient and calm and tranquil, grounded Taurus energy. So over the next couple of weeks, the energy is going to be productive. It's going to be sensual. There's going to be a little bit lazy as we try to plot our next move, but it's not going to be as manic as Aries can sometimes make things for us. I have to giggle being an Aries. Like I totally get that. All right. But otherwise, everybody else, you can see we've lost this conjunction. We still have the sextile between Mars and them, but it is starting to move in a slightly different direction. So, but nothing else interesting is happening at all. Let's jump across and see, is there anything else here on the 21st? No, there isn't. I'm looking at actually this that's coming up, right? So we've got the sun in Taurus at 1 degree. We've got Pluto in Aquarius at 2 degrees, and there is a square aspect. Now, 2 degrees to Pluto is still a very big, okay? So let's just go one more day. Okay, we are at 2 degrees, we're at 2 degrees. So 1 degree is a big gap because it's a whole day. So, and because the sun does, a degree a day, it would catch up quite quickly. So here we have a square between our identity, between our sun in Taurus and our Pluto in Aquarius, which could cause us some challenges, right? So this aspect can make us all a little bit grumpy, a little bit hungover. We've had a beautiful couple of days where we've achieved great stuff. We've done amazing things. We've expressed our love and we've expressed our happiness and our joy. And, we've spoken well and we've communicated and we've done all of those kind of good things. So this is almost like the downer that happens after that, right? Because this is like, it leaves us feeling a little bit, because of Pluto, it's all Pluto's fault. Pluto's like the party killer, right? Pluto's going to come along and suddenly we'll all get a little bit grumpy, we'll get a little bit hungover. So basically what we need to do on this particular day is we need to make sure that we just avoid conflict. Avoid getting yourself into any kind of a situation that could catch you, could hinder you, could trick you up or whatever. So just be aware of any kind of conflicts and avoid at all costs, please. We're on the 22nd of April 2024, and that is something important to do. Now, all right, moving on again. Nothing else looks interesting except I'm now looking at our sun and I'm looking at our moon. They're getting close to being aligned with each other. So let's watch the degrees. 3 and 27 is 5 degrees apart. So, and you can see here we have this red line here with the circles. Yesterday, we had the red lines with the circles, but not with the sun. Today, we have it with the sun. This is on the 23rd of April. And I actually think it's sometime between the 23rd and the 24th of April, right? We have full moon, okay? And it is a full moon. I want to just go one more. Oh, you see, it's such a difficult one because the full moon happens, a couple of hours away, but it's definitely being acknowledged as a full moon in what's this one? Oh, Scorpio. So even though if we look the previous day, 23rd of April, we have our moon that is still in Libra, but it's going to jump across and we actually get closer here. So we're at 4 degrees of the sun, we're at 9 degrees there. It is a tighter opposition. So it is a full moon in Scorpio. Okay, it's a full moon in Scorpio, which is interesting. All right, which is interesting. So a full moon in Scorpio is quite intense because Scorpio is intense. It's also quite dynamic. Why? Because Scorpio is dynamic. This also gives us the opportunity. We had a bit of a downer the last couple of days, so it gives us the opportunity to take our power back. It gives us the opportunity to see things for what they are, for how they are, for why they are. And it also gives us the opportunity to remove ourselves from situations that might have been a little bit difficult or uncomfortable for us. So come the full moon, suddenly we're like, okay, hold a second. We get our second wind, we get a bit of enthusiasm back again, and we've got the sun in Taurus, which is creating that strong, stable, silent energy. And then the moon is like just allowing us to create that equilibrium that we are desperately looking for as well. All right. We still have, I want you to note Mercury at this stage. Mercury is still in a retrograde. And if I go to the 25th, look what happens to Mercury. Mercury is stationing again. What does that mean? It means the end of retrograde. It means that Mercury has stopped going backwards and it's turning and it's about to come forward again. So this is the end of the retrograde. So it stations for a day and then it starts picking up and moving forward once more, which is really, really nice. Now, let's just look how long it takes for the station of Mercury to progress. We're on the 25th of April. Let's go across to the 26th. You can see we're still stationed. And if we go across to the 27th, we are direct again. So in effect, the Mercury retrograde is the 1st to the 27th. If we're including the station period, then it is the 1st to the 27th of April is the retrograde period. But on the 27th, Mercury is moving forward once again. Just going to have some water. Okay. Bumbity bum bum bum. All right. So Mercury is now moving direct. So Mercury was out of out of Aries. It's come all the way back into Aries, and now it's got to get all the way out again. So after a crazy couple of weeks with Mercury in retrograde, everything starts settling down again. Everything, gets back to normal. So the next couple of weeks, everything's just going to be easy, simple, uncomplicated. We're just sort of going to go through. We've got the eclipse behind us. We've got the retrograde behind us. We've got all the drama behind us. And now we can just coax along. Okay. And the sun in Taurus is amazing for that because everything just, becomes a slow, steady trot as we progress through everything that we are doing, which is nice. All right. I want to look at what's going on here. All right. So on the 27th of April, we've got Mars at 27 degrees Pisces. We also have Neptune at 28 degrees Pisces. So they're coming closer together. They're going to form a conjunction. And there we have it. On the 28th of April, we have this conjunction between Neptune and Mars. So basically, this is a day to dream big. This is a day to make everything bigger and better. Just bask in the sunshine of opportunity and possibilities. This aspect is a good one for romance, for creativity, for socializing. Everybody's eager to enjoy the better things in life and to just, appreciation all around. This is a really good kind of conjunction to have. It's making everything just easier, better, simpler, more fabulous. All right. The next one I want to look at is Venus. We haven't spoken about Venus for a while since Venus entered excuse me, since Venus entered Aries and had the conjunction with Mercury. But now if we look, Venus is sitting at 28 degrees. So if I jump to the 29th, it's at 29 degrees. If I jump one more, boom, boom, there it is, into Taurus. Okay, so Venus enters Taurus on the 30th of April, and this means that Venus is coming home because Venus rules the sign. There's Venus, you can see at the top there. Venus rules the sign of Taurus. So Venus has come home to rest. And whenever a planet comes into a sign that it rules, everything is just so much easier. Everything, it's almost like it's able to do what it is. So Venus is able to love. Venus is able to make pretty. Venus is able to perform as well as Venus can when Venus is in Taurus. Okay, so love is welcomed. You're going to find everything being a little bit sensuous, luxurious. Everything over the next couple of weeks are going to be fabulous. You're going to find finances, love life, businesses, everything gets a major boost. Anything that makes you feel good is going to get a major boost over this period while Venus is at home in Taurus. All right. One thing I do also want to just bring up, though, this Venus that we have here, even though Venus is at home in Taurus, we need, oopsie, it might help if I actually touch on Venus, right? There's Venus over there. Venus in Taurus, which has got a square aspect to Pluto. So, not ideal, not fabulous, right? Because this creates a little bit of a power struggle in our relationships, because that's what Pluto does. Pluto's a bastard. We've also got our moon here as well, which is also creating, remember, moons move quite quickly, but on this particular day, you've got Pluto and the moon. They have a square aspect to Venus, who's just come home. So it's almost like Venus has walked in the door and there's a fight, okay? Venus has walked in the door and somebody's staring at Venus like this, going, where have you been? You're late, blah, 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 blah. So on this particular day, you might find that things, jealousy, obsessions, focusing on the wrong details, that type of thing. So yeah, we just need to give it time. And I know, 30th of April is the last day in April, but I just want to show you how quickly it shifts. Okay, so you can see here we've still got the square, but it won't last long and it'll be over. I don't want to spend too much time in May, but it won't last long and it will be over quite quickly. All right, so friends, look at us, 58 minutes on the dot, 59 minutes on the dot, I should say. But that is April. That is what April looks like. That is what April is all about. So we've got some big things happening with retrograde, Mercury retrograde. We've got some big things happening with the eclipse. But generally speaking, all in all, I actually feel like, we're gonna handle this. It's going to be good for us. It's going to be positive. We all know what we need to do. We know how we need to do it. We know why we need to do it. So we've got nothing to be overly concerned about right now. One thing that I want to do for you, though, is I have this spread that I have found. It is by Hermit's Mirror. You can see at the bottom of the screen here, Hermit's Mirror, and it is just a simple 5-card spread, which is a solar eclipse, new moon solar eclipse spread. So for those of you who want to do some work around the solar eclipse, for those of you who want to spend a bit of time processing and, taking the most advantage of the solar eclipse that you can, this is the spread that you can work through. So it's a very simple one. There are only 5 cards. You can see the positioning of the cards over there. So card number 1 is the space. What parts of your life should you be prepared to reassess and to shift during this particular eclipse cycle? So that will be an interesting one to do. Number 2 is the lunar gift. So what is emerging from within you that will challenge your sense of who you are? Number 3 is the growth. So how will this whole situation of cards 1 and 2, how will it help you to grow over the next 6 months? And question 4, card 4 at the bottom, which is understanding. Why is now the right time for this particular thing to emerge in your life? And card 5 at the top, which is care. How can you best support yourself when things get uncomfortable. So yeah, please do that spread. And if you want to comment below with it and share with the rest of us, that'll be really cool. Obviously, you can't put pictures down there, but you can at least type it up and let us know how the spread worked for you, because this is a powerful one. And if you do the spread between now and the 8th of April, when the solar eclipse takes place, you will be better prepared to handle or to take advantage of what the solar eclipse is offering you. All right, friends, thank you for being with me. As always, much love and many blessings to you. I do hope that April is fabulous, and I look forward to connecting with you all again soon. Much love and many blessings. Bye-bye.